The U.S. Navy announced that the Ronald Reagan and USS Nimitz strike groups are operating together in the Philippine Sea. This is second time two carriers have worked together in the region in as many weeks as the U.S. Navy seeks to re-establish a credible presence in the region and counterbalance China's Navy. Last week the Nimitz strike group also conducted dual-carrier operations in the Philippine Sea with the USS Theodore Roosevelt strike group after the latter went back to sea after spending 2 months in Guam to contain a coronavirus outbreak on board. The Philippine Sea is strategically located in the region as it provides access to both the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea. China has stepped up its military intimidation of Taiwan in recent months with increased incursions near the median line between Taiwan and mainland China, drills and maritime presence, and overflights of contested airspace. According to the admiral in charge of the Nimitz strike group, dual-carrier operations demonstrate our commitment to regional allies, our ability to rapidly mass combat power in the Indo-Pacific, and our readiness to confront all those who challenge international norms that support regional stability. Each U.S. aircraft carrier carries more than 5,000 sailors and over 60 jets and helicopters. Together, they can coordinate potent, 24-hour flight operations. The U.S. Navy says the dual-carrier operations support air defense drills, sea surveillance, replenishments at sea, defensive air combat training, long-range strikes, coordinated maneuvers and other exercises. Escorting the 2 aircraft carriers are 2 cruisers and 3 destroyers. For more than a month this spring the United States had no carriers operating in the Western Pacific while the Theodore Roosevelt was in Guam and the Ronald Reagan, which is permanently based in Japan, completed a previously scheduled intensive maintenance and repair period. China used the gap in U.S. Navy carrier presence to highlight its own success dealing with the coronavirus and continuing its campaign of harassment and intimidation against its South and East China Sea neighbors. The U.S. Navy responded by sending all 4 of its forward-deployed submarines to sea and keeping up a high volume of presence and freedom of navigation operations by smaller warships such as destroyers and cruisers. While it is not unusual for the United States to have multiple carriers in the Western Pacific at the same time, it is less common for those carriers to operate together. Earlier this month it was widely reported that the Navy was operating 3 aircraft carriers in the Pacific, the Theodore Roosevelt, Ronald Reagan, and Nimitz. While it is unusual for more than 2 aircraft carriers to be operating or deployed in the Pacific at one time, they usually work independently. According to the Navy, dual-carrier groups operated together in the Philippine or South China Seas in 2018, 2014, 2009, and 2001. The irregularity of those prior events suggests the U.S. Navy is making a concerted effort to dissuade China's maritime assertiveness and reassure its allies and partners that the United States still operates the Pacific's most capable fleet and has unique abilities to concentrate and project naval power in the region. Taiwan's defense ministry declined to comment on the U.S. military movements, saying only that it was fully aware of foreign military activities around Taiwan and that the armed forces were doing their job to ensure the security of the island and the safety of the Taiwanese public, but it said a People's Liberation Army warplane briefly approached southwest of Taiwan's Adiz early on Friday afternoon and was warned off by Taiwan's Air Force, which scrambled jets to shadow the aircraft. The ministry did not identify the type of the plane. The PLA aircraft apparently flew into the area shortly after the U.S. warplanes, the ninth such incursion by a mainland aircraft since a U.S. transport plane flew through the southwest coast of the island toward Thailand on June 9. A Taiwanese security source who spoke on condition of anonymity said the U.S. Air Force was apparently carrying out joint missions related to anti-submarine tasks. U.S. warplanes have been massively reconnoitering between the Bashi Channel and the South China Sea, indicating that the USAF must have intelligence about PLA Navy submarine movements in the region, the source said. With the involvement of a number of different kinds of warplanes, it also shows that the USAF is testing the readiness and reliability of its joint missions in this region. Su Su-yun, a research fellow at the Institute for National Defense and Security Research, said the American forces might have been acting on specific information.